Well, I think the debt ceiling is potentially catastrophic.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different issue. Hopefully it won't happen. The banking crisis, I still believe, will kind of sort its way through. And it's not anything like '08 or '09. Only a couple of people are offsides with all these various things, which you knew about. So hopefully, it's getting near the tail end of that.
Fed has mismanaged monetary policy arguably worse than they ever have before. And you don't have to take my word for it. If you don't believe me, look at Russia, look at the UAE, look at everyone is starting to orchestrate and organize global trade outside of the US dollar, George. What the Fed looks and feels like they're in the corner of a boxing ring, covering their ribs, covering their chin, and the boxer, they're waiting for the bell to ring. They're waiting for the round to be over. They're waiting to be Vaselined up, and everyone's just wailing on the Fed. They mismanaged this entirely. They left rates so low, the excess amount of liquidity injected to the system combined with the fastest rate hike ever. They bankrupted their own banks. The banks, in order for the banks to survive, George, they're going to have to sell the Fed bonds, and the Fed can't afford that. So they're not going to meet 2% inflation. We're going to live in a new era of dollar inflation. Dollar inflation may land at 4, 5, 6, 7% in perpetuity. And that's what you're seeing with the reaction from gold. So the writing's on the wall. Anyone with a brain knows that you got to invest in gold. You got to invest in Bitcoin. Any asset with a supply cap, which implies they don't have a relationship with rates, which implies that there's a much more authentic to supply demand. It's already being priced in, and the Fed screwed up, and it's a really big deal. It's good for Bitcoin.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And guys, we know Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan are going to be benefiting from this banking crisis. We know Jamie Dimon has been leading blockchain and digital assets, but it's all done behind the curtain. We know JP Morgan is building Federal Reserve 2.0. And speaking of the Federal Reserve, we know they cause a problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. And guys, we see when it comes to the C word, we know that it helped bring in all this technology, and then on top of it, bring us all this inflation. They printed all this money so people could sit at home, which is another test when they airdrop the free money to the people. So guys, they print all this money, raise rates to fight the inflation that they cause, causing a banking crisis. And we know this banking crisis is going to lead to more layoffs. So the NWO can bring in the robots, algorithms, and drones to take the economy over. But before they can make that happen, guys, they have to bring in the distractions and the main event for the sheep to make sure they stay distracted, so therefore they can move the money in the back door and speed up the building of the fourth industrial revolution. And all you hear in mainstream media is that America is behind in cryptos, blockchain, and we know all this technology came from us. We are behind on purpose so the Fed can destroy the United States dollar. By destroying the United States dollar, they destroy this legacy market. So that's the reason why you always hear we're in a fragmented world when it comes to Klaus, the World Economic Forum, and the global leaders. They have to destroy this current system. They have to break it up so therefore they can bring in this digital transformation. And the banking crisis, debt ceiling, and especially Trump will allow them to play the Hegelian dialectic to move the agenda forward. And guys, we have the former CFTC chair says that Tether is a commodity. And guys, we know for a fact that Tether is not a commodity, it's definitely a currency. Now, when these stable coins become programmable and get pegged to something, then it may be a commodity. But nobody's investing in Tether and expecting a return. Tether, just like cash, if you put it in a bank, you would gain interest, but that doesn't make cash a security. And it's the same thing with Tether. Tether is supposed to be backed by cash. So guys, even though the NWO puppets tell us something, we know they're not giving us the whole truth. Only thing we have to do is use our common sense. And we know the Tether and Binance movie is right around the corner because we know the central banks want to stay in control of the money supply. And remember, the crypto teacher told you because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, It's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
What is this Wells notice? Is it an Armageddon moment potentially for Coinbase in the United States of America?
I think this moment is really an opportunity for us to finally get some regulatory clarity in the United States. And we're happy to do that, by the way. I think it's a great role for us to play in the industry and for America.
You're going head to head with the SEC.
Well, that's true. I mean, look, we don't relish the opportunity to be in litigation with one of our primary regulators. We've sought out regulation all over the world and tried to be proactive when there wasn't clarity. But if there's no clear rule book in the U.S., we created our own best practices to evaluate, over 1,000 assets, and we rejected 80% of them. The 200 or the 20% that we list, we believe are commodities, and there's been no clear rule book. And so if we receive a Wells notice, I feel like we have a duty to push back and go seek case law that will help bring this clarity to the U.S.
I mean, I fiddled around with this question for about 2 hours. SEC, CFTC. What is the question you ask the CEO? And here's the question. Are these regulators still fit for purpose?
Well, I think there's certainly a role, yes, because crypto is many things. Crypto has commodities. Crypto has some that are securities. We don't list them, but there are some out there.
Yeah.
We think there should be a robust, healthy market for that. There's also stable coins, which are more like currencies. There's artwork, with NFTs. And so crypto is going to have a number of different regulators. It probably is going to need new legislation to be passed in the U.S. And the good news is there's broad bipartisan support in Congress for that exactly to happen.
Can you see a day where you go, look, troops out, I'm gone from the U.S.?
We're not going to leave the U.S. We do have a choice of where to invest our dollars around the world in any given moment, but we're not going to leave the U.S. It's an important market, and the good thing about the U.S. is there's rule of law, and so we do reach the right outcome eventually.
Came up yesterday because one of the industry lobbyists said that in response to a question was talking about, a lot of the market, the spot market is commodities, and pointed out that Tether was a commodity, therefore couldn't be a security. And I corrected that because I said, wait a minute, Tether is a commodity because there is a futures contract on Tether. Anytime you have anything, any token, anything else that has a futures contract on it, that makes it a commodity. But if Tether decided to pay interest to its holders, it would be a security. So we've got to understand that this security versus commodity thing, it isn't always exclusive. That was the point I was trying to make then.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, BitChute, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, We have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.